Hello, thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to the Kim Iverson Show. I've never been a one-issue voter. I've never really understood why people would care so much about one issue that they would just throw everything out the window as far as what the candidate stood for, so as long as they agreed on this one particular point. So I've never understood this. Now I understand that there are a lot of people that feel very passionate about certain issues, especially in years past, like, for example, gay marriage. I could understand being a one-issue voter if you are a gay couple, you're wanting to get married, and the government is preventing you from doing this. So perhaps that is the most important thing to you, and everything else in your life is fine, and so you would be a one-issue voter. I know there are also a lot of one-issue voters when it comes to the issue of abortion. There's a lot of people out there that say, I'm pro-life, and I absolutely must stop this, and there's nothing else that matters, that we must vote for any politician. It doesn't matter what they do in their lives. It doesn't matter if they're completely crooked or corrupt or anything else that they stand for, so as long as they are pro-life. I know that there are those voters out there, but I've just never personally been one of them. Up until now, I feel I'm becoming a one-issue voter. And I was having this thought today. It was sort of an epiphany where I realized that the attack on our freedom of speech right now, the attack, the assault that is happening, coming from, unfortunately, the left, is so completely important to me that I would potentially be a one-issue voter when it comes to this particular issue. I believe that we don't have even a fighting chance to argue with one another about our differing viewpoints if we don't have the ability to express those differing viewpoints. So now it's become one of those things where I could agree with a politician on absolutely everything, but the minute they start attacking our ability to speak freely, even if that speaking is a lie, I believe in our ability to lie. That is not something that has been made illegal. It should not be made illegal, because who gets to determine what's a lie and what's truth? After all, we all know what happened with the Hunter Biden story. That is the classic thing that we can all point to in recent history, just in the recent last couple of months, where all the mainstream media went out there and said that it was a lie, that they weren't even going to entertain the story, that they weren't going to run it, they weren't going to give it any credibility, that it was disinformation from Russia, that it was all a lie, and it turned out to be true. So who gets to determine what is a lie and what is truth and what is disinformation and what is actually real information? We're just not being told the truth. Could you imagine now? I mean, we know that we were fed disinformation in order to get us into the Iraq war. We now know that there were no weapons of mass destruction, that we were completely lied to. But at the time they said, oh no, our intelligence agencies say that this is it. Could you imagine being censored and not being able to actually speak your voice and say, I don't believe this? And then they say, well, then you're believing in lies and you need to be deplatformed. You need to be censored. You need to be deprogrammed. So now I feel I am turning into a one-issue voter. I care about so many issues. There are so many other things that I think absolutely need to happen in this country. But I really feel that the threat and the assault that is happening on our ability to speak freely, the way that mainstream news is even moving. I mean, CNN and MSNBC are entrenched in an echo chamber. I'm amazed at how, when I watch Fox News, now that's a network I have never liked. I never liked the personalities on Fox News, but now I have to tell you, I prefer Fox News over CNN and MSNBC for this one reason. And the one reason is Fox News will actually platform anybody and any idea. And that's a good thing. As much as people on CNN and MSNBC want to say, oh, that's just terrible, how dare you platform those people, it's actually a good thing to hear the differing viewpoints. On Fox, you're going to see, obviously, your mainstream establishment Republican that has been the mainstream voice of Fox News. It's still the predominant voice of Fox News. But now we're starting to hear these other types of conservative voices on Fox News as well. We're getting the populists, right? The populist right-wingers, or those that are at least catering to the populist right-wing audience. Whether they personally are really truly populists or not, it doesn't matter. They're at least giving a voice to those who do have those viewpoints, those who want less war, those who are feeling disenfranchised. So they're giving a voice to that populist right-wing group. But then what do we see on Fox News? We see Donna Brazile. I mean, a complete establishment Democrat. She's allowed to talk and espouse her establishment Democrat viewpoints. I hear this on many of the shows. I hear them talking, bringing in an establishment Democrat and the establishment Democrat gets to say whatever the establishment Democrat wants to say. But then suddenly you'll see somebody like Jimmy Dore on Fox News. You would never see Jimmy Dore on CNN or MSNBC. Suddenly you see Glenn Greenwald on Fox News, Tulsi Gabbard on Fox News. You wouldn't see these people regularly on CNN or MSNBC. So Fox News, surprisingly, coming from the conservative side of America, are willing to listen to differing viewpoints from all spectrums, from establishment to anti-establishment, from left to right. And that is completely missing from left-wing America right now. Establishment left-wing America and really progressive left-wing America that has been able to, they've just kind of folded into the flock. It's completely missing from them. They're now saying that they want to censor, deplatform. They want to reprogram people, that they need to fight this disinformation. And it has me very frightened. I want to be fighting for other things in this country right now. I want to be talking more about less war, which we're going to be getting into later on in the show. I want to be talking about things like Medicare for all. I want to talk about things like making college affordable, free in many cases, and affordable in others, because an intelligent, healthy America is an America that is strong and competitive around the world. And a happy population makes a happy country. But we're not able to focus on those things because there's an absolute assault going on right now on our freedoms of speech. And it is frightening to me. I received this article today in my inbox. This is from Roll Call, which is a left-wing organization, a left-wing news organization. And this is a frightening article. It says right here, after Capitol riot, a call to protect veterans from disinformation. I mean, just look at this right here. A call to protect veterans from disinformation. We're going to protect you from that disinformation. Don't you know? We're not censoring you. We're protecting you from disinformation. It says here, foreign and domestic forces target veterans with disinformation on social media as they seek to undermine U.S. democracy. Now, of course, this has come into play because they're thinking that a lot of the people that showed up to the Capitol on the day of the riots, that many of them are veterans. So they're saying, oh, well, these veterans are the ones targeted with this disinformation, and we need to now protect them. It says right here, a prominent veterans advocate wants the Biden administration and Congress to help retired service members protect themselves from online disinformation following the deadly January 6th riot at the Capitol. Listen to that rhetoric. They want to help you protect yourself. That's what we're doing here. We're just helping you protect yourself. Grown adults, these are not children, and these are people that we have entrusted to fight wars. We give them weapons of mass destruction even, to fight wars. And now we're saying, yeah, okay, you're fine enough to do that. We trust you with that. We trust you with weapons of mass destruction, but we don't trust you with the internet. We don't trust you with information. We need to protect you. Don't worry. This is for your own good. This person that they're talking about is Christopher Goldsmith. He is an Army veteran who fought in the Iraq War before he began tracking online disinformation campaigns targeting veterans. So Christopher Goldsmith is a very big, loud advocate for stopping the spread of disinformation. He definitely wants big tech to do something. He wants government to do something. And he wants to, in a way, deprogram people, saying that they need campaigns in order to educate people on how to spot what is real and what is fake. But that's the problem. Who gets to create these campaigns? And what are they going to tell us? What are they going to say is real versus what is fake? Because we all know that they've lied, and they've lied over and over again, or they've just been flat out wrong about the information or what is disinformation. So it says here that Christopher Goldsmith, he said Trump, his allies, foreign adversaries, and social media companies also bear responsibility. He says veterans' patriotism is being weaponized by disinformation in a deliberate effort by foreign actors and certainly domestic ones to turn our democracy on itself. Listen to that for just, it started with foreign disinformation. It started with it was Russia trying to spread lies and program Americans with disinformation. But now he even admits domestic ones. So it's deliberate effort by foreign actors and certainly domestic ones. So how dare you listen to anyone who shares a message outside of the establishment, those domestic disinformation people. No, that's not called a domestic disinformation campaign. That is just called a different opinion. That is just called seeing the world differently, having a different worldview, being left or right or center or independent or libertarian or green. That's what that's called. That's what we're allowed to have. At least we've been allowed to have this in America for a really long time. But he says, oh, we've got to watch out for these domestic disinformation campaigns, which is essentially anything outside of the establishment. He goes on to say here, Goldsmith hopes President Joe Biden, who alluded to the dangers of disinformation in his inaugural address last week, will work with Congress to establish and fund media literacy and cybersecurity hygiene education programs at the Department of Veteran Affairs. I don't know what a cybersecurity hygiene education program is at the Department of Veteran Affairs, but that sounds like a re-education campaign. That sounds like trying to deprogram people. That's what that sounds like. So of course they're not going to say those words. I mean, they did say those words. We've heard people say these words coming from the left at this point, but they realize that those words don't sound so great. That when they say things like deprogram or re-educate, that does sound like what they're getting on China's case about when it comes to the Uyghurs. And so they have to change the wording, right? So the wording now is cybersecurity hygiene education. That's the new word. That's the new phrase for deprogramming or re-education. Cybersecurity hygiene education. This is what they're saying to you. They're telling you they trust you with weapons of mass destruction. They trust you with defending the country and protecting democracy, except for when it's those times that you're falling for the narratives that are actually going to destroy our democracy, they say. And so in order to protect our democracy, we have to rip democracy away from you because you unfortunately have been programmed by domestic disinformation, and therefore you need to step aside. What we need to do is give you some cybersecurity hygiene education because you are a threat to democracy. But here's a gun. Let's go to war.